Hi, I'm Kelly,
I'm Allison.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Kristen.
and this is Fear and Wine. Hello, welcome to Fear and Wine. We are a horror podcast about horror films, TV shows, and more. And we are continuing our Lovecraft Country recap. I think we only have like 4 more episodes to go. And
Yes.
these next two are actually the rest of these are my favorites, I think, of the series. This one that Kristen's covering today called I Am is really weird and fun, but you learn a lot in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But for today's question, it's not directly related to the story, I don't think, but it's a good one that Kristen came up with. And you know what? Before that, though, I do
It's
want to say
related
because
though.
it
Remember
is.
when she learns the sword fighting?
Oh yeah, yes. It's
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry. Yes,
That's okay.
it is because I always miss like the holidays. So happy 4th of July. That is coming up.
Yes.
So when this one comes out, that will be the next holiday coming up. And I know we all have that Friday off, so I'm looking forward to it.
Do you
And I
guys
did one.
typically do anything for 4th of July? Like,
We'll
do you
just
guys usually
barbecue.
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
gonna be
Yeah.
in New York City.
Yeah, she'll be traveling.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Lucky.
Mhm.
Can't wait.
Very
We'll be flying
fun.
back that day, but whatever. We'll be
Oh,
there.
okay. You
Yeah.
won't be there for the 4th?
No, yeah, we fly back on the 4th.
Okay. And I know there's a lot of crazy stuff been going on in this country, as it has been for a while. So it's not, maybe the best time to celebrate the country. But there is something I would
I
like
need
to.
everyone to just chill.
I
Yeah.
know. It's something I would like to take a little pride in the U.S. for doing, and I think we're doing a great job of it, and we have all come together, and that is to celebrate our heroes on Love Island
Love
USA
Island, yes.
this season. They are fantastic. We as America have been doing a fantastic job in our voting, and
Oh my
we
God.
have stood on
America is
business.
so messy, Kelly.
With the Jera Hudamaya breakup, we stood on business. Now, we are backing Ace a little too much because he's starting to
Yes.
run amok.
He's terrible.
But I kind of love Ace, but he
Oh,
is
no.
he's running amok a little
I've
bit. Right
peeped
now,
him
Nick
from the
is my
beginning.
hero.
Mm-mm.
I
But-
told Kristen would appreciate this. I told Kelly that Ace would be good on Traders.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
He's
Not
a
on
good
this
or
so
Big
much.
Brother. He needs something where he can scheme
needs
because
a
this isn't a
game.
scheming show.
Yeah.
He needs to
play a game.
strategize, scheme,
Yeah.
do something in the background. But he's a narcissist. He is his ego. The way he had to make sure he had first dibs on every girl that came in, and then he was mad that Huda didn't pick him, and so he had it in for her and Jeremiah from the beginning. And he really orchestrated. See, watching it all in a row the way that I did, I think I saw maybe more of his villain arc than other people did. But he's a villain to me, like a total villain.
Oh, see, I kind of love him. I think there was a little bit of the Hooded thing, but I think he always wanted Shelley. They knew each other before going into the villa.
He was playing with her
I think
head.
he always. No, I'm telling you, they knew each other. We know they knew each other.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
I think he always wanted her. I really do.
Yeah, but he's playing with. See, he
Oh
wanted.
no, he's doing that
He's
for
a
the
game
show.
player.
He's a game player.
He just wants to win
can't-
at the end.
You
Yeah.
can't win. You're not going to win immediately. He was right about what they were doing. If you go in immediately and you're locked down, that isn't good for the show to win at the end.
So
That's
how
why
do you,
he's stringing
as
her
a
along.
game. Well,
as
he's
somebody who
playing a
doesn't
game.
watch
Yeah.
the show, the only stuff that I know about Love Island is stuff that you guys have told me or stuff that has come across like my TikTok For You page, that type of thing, which has been a lot lately. But like, what is the goal of the show? How do you win the show?
America will choose. We will vote for who we want as the winners at the end. But you need to be in a couple, and we need to believe that you guys could be a real couple outside the villa. And you just need to fool us enough.
I see.
Really,
I will never
Okay.
vote for Ace, so good luck to
This
him.
comes down to. I don't know that I will. I don't know. It depends on what things are looking like at the end because
Give
I'm
me
such a
Amaya
Shelley
and
fan.
whoever's sitting next to her, and I'll vote for
Yeah,
them.
I want Amaya to just win
I
by
love Amaya.
herself. I want them to just like shut down the show, just give Amaya the 100K and call and start all over and give her
Yes,
a
a new
record
show.
contract too.
Like you said, a show of her dating in New York City, I would
Yes.
100% watch. So
I love her. She's my favorite, but I also love Shelley. I love Elaine. I don't know.
Oh,
I really like all the girls, honestly.
Shelley is stunning too.
She
I mean,
is.
just gorgeous.
Yeah. All right. So before this becomes a Love Island podcast,
Yeah, anyway,
which easily
sorry.
could, we will switch over. But I just wanted to say congrats, America. Happy 4th of July because we are doing great work on Love Island USA. But today's question is, back to the show, is what is a surprising skill you would secretly like to learn? This one was easy for me because it's something I actually started looking into.
Oh,
But it's
nice.
so silly.
Well,
You
please
want to
go
go
ahead.
first?
Okay, I can. So something I've been looking at, and I probably will do some classes in this, but I want to learn the Wilderness First Responder certification. And
Ooh.
there's around like 4 courses you can take online, and then you have to do
That
some
sounds like
practical
you.
stuff in person. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, I don't want to be an EMT. I know that's hard work. I don't actually want to do this as a job. It's just something I want to learn just for my
Mhm.
own personal knowledge. If I'm out, I like the wilderness and hiking and stuff. Would love to be able to help someone in that situation, but I don't actually want to make it a career. But I really do want to learn this training.
That's
Right, just
really
for
interesting.
personal
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
growth. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. I didn't even know that that was a thing. Is that
Me
something
neither.
you can do in online? Do you have to do it in
Yeah.
person?
So this one, there's what they call their beginner courses for wilderness first responder training. And so that one's for the public or anyone who does tours. And so anyone can take those. And then
Mhm.
there's more advanced ones if you already have your EMT certification
Oh,
to actually
wow.
do it for a living, or maybe someone who works in the national parks would probably
Right.
take those. But yeah, it's half online, and then you have to do some practical things. So like around the country, they have little places you go to do your in-person
That's
part, but
so
you do most of
cool.
it online.
That sounds
Hmm.
so fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I did my my Citizens Academy thing for the police academy, or the police department near me, not the academy, we had to do a Stop the Bleed course. So we
Okay.
got certified for it, but we had to actually like learn how to pack a wound and
Oh.
Oh,
wrap it with
cool.
gauze and how to
Yeah.
use a tourniquet and everything. And so I don't want to ever have to do that because I don't want to necessarily have to put my hand into anyone's body in that manner. It was disgusting, even though it was like a fake, like a fake leg with a big fake wound
Mhm.
on it that we had to
Yo.
use. I was kind of grossed out. Everybody else loved it. They had
Yeah,
so
see,
much
that's what
fun.
Yeah, I'm a
And
that's
I
what I
was
pass.
like,
wanna
this
learn.
is so gross, but I did it and I got done and it was fun in the end. And I'm glad that I at least know. But like you, I hope I never have to use the skills.
Mhm.
But it was just a cool thing, yeah, to learn and to
Yeah,
see
like
how to do
learning
it.
like the wounds, helping someone, what's, venomous, what's poison. I mean, just learning like and some of those things from my
Hmm.
reading and podcasts I listen to, like how long do you have before this becomes a critical problem, or
Right.
you're bitten by this animal, like all that stuff. But what can you do in the field to help also?
That's
Speaking
cool.
of Alone, I feel like you learn a lot. We were talking earlier about that show Alone that is on. There's a Canadian version, the Australian version. There is a dude on there that did not eat any protein for 30 days. He
Whoa.
basically crunched on some grass, and I didn't even know that
Huh.
was possible, that you could not eat for 30 days. So I'm learning new things too.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very
Did he like
interesting.
waste away to nothing?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he looks like he's starving to death.
Oh
And then it was so
no.
funny because the medical team came to take his stats and they told him he could stay. And he cried after they left because he was hoping they were going to pull him. Anyway,
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would totally
so
go on like Alone or Survivor just for the diet. And then after 20 pounds, I'd be like, all right, you guys can
I
leave
was
Right?
me.
gonna say the
Right.
same thing.
You're guaranteed to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be catching anything, so I would waste away, which it
Hmm.
might be, it's a good thought actually.
Yeah.
They should do an amateur version of Alone and then just put a bunch of people that have no survival
Right.
skills. I would love to watch
Just see how
that.
long we can
We're
go.
just all
Mhm.
like waving our arms in the air for help at the end. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh.
good.
Well, I don't know if the skill that I would like to learn is necessarily a surprising one, but I know it's something I'll never do, even though I really would love to. But I've always wanted to learn how to play the violin. I
Oh.
have zero musical ability, which
Hmm.
is funny because my oldest child is super musically inclined, but obviously did not get that from me because just trying to put I've tried to learn like a guitar and just to put my hand in the right spot. I don't like it. I feel like this is wrong. How do people do this? And
Uh-huh.
I actually even got a violin gifted to me and I could never get it tuned to like really even try to practice. So I doubt it'll ever happen, but I just love the violin so much. And I hear it's like the hardest instrument to learn how to play. So I don't know why that of all instruments is the one that I want to learn, but
It is
yeah, I don't
pretty.
know. It is so
Mhm.
beautiful and I just feel like
Mhm.
it would be so cool to
Well,
know how to play one.
You and my mom need to do that together because she also bought herself a violin and has yet
She
to take
sure
a
did.
lesson.
Really?
She dragged me down there with her. We went and looked at some violins, and what was it? The University of Tampa, I think, was having like a sale on all their
I think so,
older
yeah.
used
Oh,
equipment.
that's cool.
But it was like really nice, high end stuff. So she bought this violin. She's like, I'm gonna learn the violin. What was that? 3 years ago? I don't think the violin has been picked up, so I don't even know where it is.
Oh,
But
maybe
who
maybe
knows?
she and I need to get in on some
yeah,
lessons
get some
together or something.
lessons.
I don't know. But I have a feeling if I didn't have somebody there like forcing me or holding me
Mhm.
accountable, I would struggle to ever want to like practice or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know that I'll ever learn it, but I want to.
Yeah, I like that one.
Well, mine, it's something that I really wish I could do, but I don't think I have the patience to learn at this point. But I wish that I could braid hair and not just two little French
Oh.
braids, but like the actual hair braiders.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I will sit there on Instagram all day and just watch different girls braiding different people's
Yes.
hair.
That's
and it's just,
amazing.
I really wish I could have that skill and then alone to do my own. But
Mhm. I just feel like people who can do that are so talented because like
yes.
first of all the patience you have to have,
Oh, yes.
and then just I don't know, like your fingers have to be super nimble, it seems like.
Yeah.
Especially to do like the cool ones like we watch on Instagram because I wish I had that skill too to do the
I
cool braids where
know.
they look so clean and perfect. Like I
Mhm.
can braid hair in order to install like hair extensions on my own head. I can't do it on anyone else's for some reason.
See, yeah,
But
and you
I
can do more
can't
than I
make
can.
I can't make it look really cool where I could just do braids and it looked nice.
Like designs and stuff and like where
Yeah,
they
I
go
can't do
like
that.
different directions. Like how? That's
Mhm.
crazy to me that people can do that.
Yeah.
Well, it's
That's
funny you say that
impressive.
because just on TikTok, it popped up on my For You page whoever did Alondria's braids because people have been saying whoever did those braids they have held up and they look beautiful, and so she's gonna get some business from that I think because of how she's like a walking advertisement for how braids can look over time.
Yeah.
And I've
But
seen people do those itty bitty teeny tiny ones.
yeah, and see the
just like
patience you have to have too.
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
don't have that.
Yeah, I don't think I do. So until then, I'll just keep going to my girl Keisha in Riverview at Crochet. Shout out to Keisha.
Shout
Thank
out.
you for all your work.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, mine, I don't know if I may have talked about this before. I love to dance. I think I have fairly decent rhythm, but I would love to know how to like pop and lock and break dance and all that. And I don't want to look like that Australian lady from the Olympics. So, I feel like I would need to do lessons first. But yeah, or Krav Maga. I know that sounds probably crazy, but I'd love to be
No.
able to kick someone's ass,
That'd be cool.
That's really
Yeah,
it.
that was quite a time in our history where we had that lady in the Olympics.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, that was something.
I
I
still
just
feel
need
like
to
we
know
were
wild.
who made
being
that
punked.
decision. Like just at that point, do you have to have a team? You don't have to be in every event. I don't think every
No.
country has to be in every event. Like don't feel
No.
like you got to fill a spot. Australia.
Oh, she made white people look so bad, man. She like set us back with that, I swear.
She provided a lot of internet fodder though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the jokes were good. All right, well, speaking of
Okay.
internet fodder, I miss this is when we do these shows a little bit later, I miss getting to see the theories and such. So I have been going back and I searched the hashtags, and it's kind of fun to go back and look and see what people were saying about different episodes or actors. And so that's one thing that I've been doing with Lovecraft Country.
Oh, that's smart. I didn't think of
Yeah,
that.
so we're gonna do, was it episode 7 today, right? Is
Yes.
everyone ready?
Mhm.
I'm
Okay,
so
There you
ready.
go. In celebration of Hippolyta's powerful feminine spiritual awakening, we are pairing this episode with sun goddess Pinot Grigio by celebrated R&B goddess Mary J. Blige. The 2021 sun goddess Pinot Grigio Ramato Orange comes from the Friuli Venezia Giulia region in Italy. This white wine has gentle and elegant aromas of peach, apricot, fresh flowers, and a hint of ginger. The crisp, lively flavors are accented with stone fruits and a pop of green apple. Pair this wine with chicken, salmon, and soft, mild cheese. Enjoy! For more information about us and all of the wines that we feature, visit our website at fearandwine.com. And make sure you follow Fear and Wine wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss a new episode. And if you like us, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Thanks!
So this one is titled I Am, and it made me immediately think of those I Am poems that everybody had to write in school. Do you guys remember those?
No.
I
Oh,
don't think
I
I
guess
may
I'm
have
the
had to
teacher
do
that
it.
made kids write those poems then, maybe?
Maybe.
We probably did. It's just you're more in tune with school. I don't remember a
Yeah.
lot of what
Maybe.
happened.
Okay. Well, there's a template for it and everything, so it just made me think of that. But it is titled I Am, and this is Hippolyta's episode. And the actress who plays Hippolyta is just phenomenal. Her name is Anjanou Ellis Taylor, and I did find out she's actually an NYU Tisch grad, so she did go to NYU.
Oh.
Shout out Violets. And she did win did you know she won a Screen Actors Guild award for this role in Lovecraft Country?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she did. So I think this show, when it came out, was really widely loved by the acting community and critics, but it just didn't get, I think, the
The
popularity I
audience,
think that
yeah.
others did. She also was an Oscar nominee for her supporting role in King Richard. So she's a very popular actress. She's been in movies for a long time because, of
Mhm.
course, I had to go back and look. And I mean, all the way back in the 90s, she was in Too Deep back in the 90s, which I saw back then. And most recently, did anyone see that Nickel Boys movie?
No, I don't know that one.
Just came out last year. And I, of course, clicked on it just because it was her most recent film. She was in the Deliverance movie, too, the Glenn Close crazy one that was on.
I didn't see that one either.
Oh, you did, right? With the demons
No.
and the possession
I
of the
know exactly what
kids?
you're talking about, but after so many people were talking
Oh,
about it,
you
I just never went
didn't?
and
Yeah, I
watched
never
it.
watched it either.
Neither of
Yeah.
you? Oh, I'm
Nope.
the only one.
Mm-mm.
Well, she was in that too.
She
But
she
this
was in
Nickel
the
Boys
new
that she's
Color
in looks
Purple?
good. The newer version, like the
Yeah, the
remake
newer
The
of
one.
it,
musical,
yeah.
yeah.
When I was
And she was in The
young,
Help.
like a
Sorry.
kid, I loved the original Color Purple. I don't know
Me
what it was
too.
about that movie, but I loved it so much. And I
I
haven't
still
seen
love
the
it.
new one, but
I
I
didn't see the
should
new one
watch that.
either.
Oh, she was also in the movie about Venus and Serena's dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a King Richard, yeah?
Yeah, King
Yeah.
Richard. Yep.
Yeah, she's
Mhm.
had a ton of films, but so this is really her episode. I feel that she's kind of she's the tie that binds the whole episode together. We get a little bit more, but it really is about her. So we do begin with Hippolyta sitting in front of the orrery. That's that gold model of the atmosphere, the universe that was belonging to that other guy. I can't remember his name right now, of
Winthrop?
course.
That
Yes.
that was in Letty's, house, which was the
Yes,
Winthrop
the
house,
one
yeah.
from Letty's house.
Mhm.
And she's also surrounded by all these papers, and they have coordinates and numbers. And this for me is difficult because math and my brain don't go well together. And in the beginning, there's some math going on here, but it's okay. I got through it. She has this pencil in her hand, and she appears to be trying to solve some kind of puzzle with numbers and equations involving the orrery. And as the shot focuses in on her face, we change scenes, and then we all of a sudden see her standing in front of a big pile of rubble. And then we get a 3 days ago that flashes up on the screen. So we're getting kind of a flashback to this orrery scene, and we realize right away there's going to be a lot of kind of time switching in this episode, moving not only between, present and past, but also going to other planes of the multiverse. So once the shot pans out, we see that Hippolyta is standing in these ruins, which we later learn are Hiram Epstein's like observatory. It's kind of like where he must have been doing some of his calculations on this thing.
Oh, I
And
thought
oh, go
okay, so
ahead.
I thought the first ruins were the lodge at Artem, because remember before she saw that map, and then she saw that she was gonna go there to figure out what George had been doing. So that wasn't the lodge after it had crumbled down that she was at first?
Oh
That was at
no.
Hiram's?
Well, because at the end, I thought it was the place that. See, did I mix the two
I
places
don't
up
know, it
then?
was hard to tell because 'cause you're like, there's
Okay.
so many moving parts. I just thought that's where we left her last was going to where George had last put on his map. So I thought that very first scene was the old lodge had been torn down, and then she
Okay, so
moved from
that's
there,
her.
but maybe
So
not.
no, you might be right. So we're starting there and then moving forward in time then to because but the
Maybe.
orrery moment would be somewhere in the middle of that. It wouldn't
Yeah, you're right,
be.
you're probably right because you were
No,
taking notes, so you paid closer attention. I just
I'm
probably
confused. You know what?
misunderstood where she
The
was.
outfit though, I don't know if the outfit's different.
Yeah.
I would need to look at the outfit because I
I
feel like
know.
the outfit she was in when she puts those numbers into that machine and everything is that suit, but maybe not.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry, Kelly.
No,
Ooh.
I apologize, audience, if we confused you. It's we both interpreted the very first scene of this differently, so sorry about that.
Okay, so yeah, she's standing in these ruins that could be either one of the two places that we talked about. Um, and the last that we had seen, they had George's map and they were on their way to investigate what happened to him at the end of episode 4. So you may be very well correct. Like this might be that ending of episode 4 part.
Mhm.
In this moment, Dee calls out to Hippolyta asking why they are there. And just then, Hippolyta finds the comic in the rubble that Dee had drawn for George, and she knows that he had actually been there too. So we come back now to Hippolyta, and she's so frustrated with that orrery because she can't figure it out that she pushes it off the table. And she lays down next to it on the ground, and she's having this moment. And in her grief, she actually starts to see the orrery in a new way. She understands that the planets need to tilt on their axes in order for it to work properly. So all of a sudden, we can tell she's brilliant in this moment too. She begins doing this and like kind of switching every single planet to the position it's supposed to be in. And when she does that, the orrery then lights up and the planets begin to move on their own. And this gold kind of light starts to shine and the top pops open and a gold key comes out. And there's an inscription that says, "Every beginning is in time and every limit of extension is in space." And that's actually a quote from Immanuel Kant, if anyone's interested. It's from literature. And there are also coordinates written there. So, there's a series of numbers written, and she then triumphantly like removes the key and she looks really happy, like she figured something out. So we then switch over to William/Christina's basement, and we now see that she actually has William's body and also that other lady that Ruby's been turning into. She has their bodies there in the basement and they're hooked up to tubes, but they look like blue and dead. But they have like stuff running in and out of them. And Christina says that they are dead and she uses their blood to make the potions that they've been using to kind of switch back and forth. She admits that this is revenge for what actually did happen to William. She tells Ruby the whole story of how she was excluded for being a woman in the first place, and she tries to connect with her, saying that like we're the same, her and Ruby. And Ruby tells her she needs to know it all. And Christina says that it involves the lost pages and her family. And just then, we see the memory of that burning house again and Hannah escaping with the book, but this time it's Letty chasing her instead of it being Tick, and we see that Letty is pregnant in this fantasy. She ends up burning alive, and then she gets startled awoke in bed. So, like I said, we're doing a lot of switching around. We go from that first scene with Hippolyta to the scene with Christina, William, and Ruby, and now to Letty waking up in her bed from this nightmare. So now we're with Letty, and she goes downstairs and she finds Tick has decoded about half the pages now. And he's down on himself, but she reminds him about Hannah's success. She shares the dream that she had with him, and they realize that they've been having the exact same dream. She does leave out the pregnancy part, though, but they figure out that Hannah had the book of names when she escaped, and they decide that they're going to go find it so that Tick can cast the spell himself. You okay, Leah, with all this?
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
I'm
There's a
following
lot.
the
I mean,
best
this
I
show,
can.
there's a lot
This
going on.
gonna jump around this episode, yeah.
Obviously, I've messed some things up myself, so.
No, you guys are doing a great job of telling the story. The hardest
Yeah.
part is since I don't know the character specifically, like I haven't watched it, is keeping everybody straight. But I typically will like look at the cast when we start the show so I can get an idea of what everybody looks like, and then that's helpful to me. So
Oh, that's good.
that helps me follow the story easier.
No, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. So, Tick and Letty head over to Montrose's place, and they catch Montrose actually having like a little argument with his boyfriend, and they didn't know ahead of this time that Montrose had the boyfriend. So a huge fight erupts, and Tick calls his dad a gay slur and then storms out. And Letty is able to get the info, though, from Montrose that they went looking for in the first place. Apparently, Tick's mom wasn't the only one to survive the Tulsa riots. She has a cousin. And as Tick and Letty walk up expecting to take Woody, like they're going back and they're going to try and find this cousin, they see that Hippolyta's already in the car. Woody's George's car, by the way. They all call it that. And we see that Hippolyta's actually in the car and she's getting ready to leave. And Ruby is going to be staying back and watching Dee for her. And in this moment, Tick's kind of annoyed because he planned on taking the car and he tries to stop her, but Hippolyta isn't having it and she ends up leaving kind of like mad. So in this moment, Tick and Letty decide they're going to have to take a bus to St. Louis to try to find his mom's cousin. So they want to get some information. They believe that this cousin is still alive and that she's living in St. Louis, and they're going to go find her. So now we see Hippolyta happily driving in George's car. She's got some lovely like French music playing in the background. She has George's travel guide open to a map of Kansas. And we see the quote again, "Every beginning is in time and every limit of extension is in space. She's written it at the top of the map, and she also has those coordinates written down from the orrery at the top of the map. And as she drives on happily, the screen turns black and the word St. Louis then appears back on the screen. So we know she's driving in Kansas, but now we're going to St. Louis, which is we know where Tick it ends up just being Tick, where Tick ends up going to find the cousin. So as a Greyhound bus pulls up in the evening hours, it says St. Louis on it, and we see Tick step off. He is visiting a woman named Ms. Osberta, who knew his cousin Ethel. So he can't find Ethel, but he ends up finding her best friend. She said both of their husbands, hers and Ethel's, were deacons together and that they died around the same time. She said Ethel and Tick's moms were so close, but she doesn't know anything about this book of names that he's asking about. She said the white folks burned everything, and she's talking about those Tulsa riots, so that there wouldn't be any books left to be had. She says she can show Tick what Cousin Ethel looked like, though, and she gets up to go fetch a photo album. Now the word Mayfield appears on the screen, and we are now back to Hippolyta, and she's in George's Woody as she pulls up to this hill. It's like she knew exactly where she was going. She gets out and begins walking towards this giant full moon as the wind whips her hair in the distance. As she disappears over this hill, we then switch back to the scene with Ruby and Letty. Letty stayed behind with Ruby to watch Dee, and Dee has some of her other little friends over. It was like the same kids that were doing the Ouija board with her, and they're playing cards and having a good time. So the sisters end up going into the kitchen, and they've kind of made up. Letty's apologized to Ruby for everything. Ruby seems to have accepted her apology, and Letty starts asking Ruby or where Ruby's been staying this whole time. And Ruby retorts by asking if Tick has a job yet. So she's kind of like, mind your business. And when all of a sudden, like, she's cooking and Letty gets repulsed by the garlic in the food, and Ruby is shocked because I guess Letty loves garlic, and she says, either you're a vampire or you're pregnant. And then, that makes us kind of pause because we remember the kind of dream earlier where she was pregnant in it. And when Letty runs off to Hippolyta's room to get air from a window, she finds the orrery in there, and she is shocked to see it there. So back in St. Louis now, Tick is looking at the pictures, and while he starts looking at the photo album, he gets a phone call, and it's actually Letty calling Miss Osberta's house to tell him about the orrery. They know now that Hippolyta was not actually going on George's guide trip, but instead she must be following the coordinates from the orrery. In Mayfield, Hippolyta has entered this planetarium type thing and uses the key that she found to start up this big giant machine that's there. And this is when the math gets really crazy. She begins doing this really difficult math all of a sudden about velocity and time and space and all this stuff that has geometry flying around in the air around her. And then once I saw the numbers, I started to disassociate. So I'm sorry if you're you're watching this show and this stuff makes sense to you. But for me, it was just a bunch of numbers and shapes flying around her head, kind of like that movie where
A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much like that. Okay. So yeah, it's more math than I would ever want to do in my life. And she goes in and she types these numbers into the machine that she's figured out. And just then it starts moving, and like it starts up in a way that it wasn't before. And as this is happening, she hears voices. And so she goes and kind of like hides under the desk in there. And it ends up being these two cops, and they find her hiding and they start interrogating her. And she says that she just got lost there, that it was an accident. She didn't mean to be there. And they start to point their gun at her. They kind of know there's no way she could have just happened upon this. And all of a sudden the machine's working. And just then Atticus flies in like a ninja and like takes down one of the cops, and he starts fighting the other one. And while all this commotion's happening, the machine gets bumped and it's spinning furiously now. And in this moment, Hippolyta is able to get the gun that's fallen off one of the cops on the ground, and the machine stops all of a sudden at this certain group of numbers, and then a hole opens up like in the fabric of space and time. And as Tick's fighting the other cop, he throws the cop through it. And as he's doing that, Hippolyta shoots the other one. And when that happens, they're both kind of staring in shock at each other and at the cop, because they know this would be huge trouble with the two of them, shooting a white cop. And as they start to kind of look at each other, Hippolyta gets sucked into the hole herself. So she's gone in that moment. And from this point forward, for quite a while, we are just going to be with Hippolyta. It's kind of like what happens to her when she gets sucked into this this hole. So she gets kind of thrust through what looks like time and space, almost like she's flying through space. And she ends up on the outside of what looks like a foreign planet of some kind. And she's standing there, and I'm sure this is Lovecraftian in some way, and I don't know the reference, but it's probably to one of his sci-fi books or novels or something. There's this big giant like white craft looking thing that's looks like a pretzel almost floating in the sky.
Yum.
And when Hippolyta tries to call out, all of a sudden there's this really like flash of bright light, and these two alien, almost robot look beings start marching towards her, almost like they're in suits, like spacesuits.
If I ever get sucked into
So,
a black hole and sent to another planet,
yes,
I
that's
hope it's full of pretzels. I'm just gonna say.
or bagels.
Or
Yeah, it could have been a
bagels.
bagel too, like a
Anything bread related,
twisty bagel.
I'll take
Oh,
it.
well, unfortunately, it doesn't end up being all about bread, but
Mm.
we do get in the next moment she's lying nude on a table in this room that's just completely white and it's made of light, and it reminds me of like that fire in the sky moment, Leah, at first, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So I was kind of nervous in that moment because I'm like, okay, she's waking up, she's about to get probed or something,
Yuck.
but
Yeah.
she wakes up and she actually looks at her wrists, and they appear to have these like microchips implanted in them. They're pink and they're lighting up. And she puts on this like really cute zip up onesie that just happens to be hanging next to her. And she gets up and she decides she's going to try to leave this room, but she can't get out. And just then, the door that she's trying to leave opens up, and this really tall, like gorgeous black woman in that robot style clothes comes in. So I think she was one of the people that approached her outside and was like in a suit, but she's taken like the helmet part off, is what I think. And so she comes in, she's got a big giant afro, and again, just this gorgeous black woman. And Hippolyta asks her, "Who are you?" And she says, "I am." And then she says she wants to leave. Hippolyta wants to get out of there, and the woman tells her, she's like, "You're not in a prison." And then she just goes out and she closes the door. So Hippolyta's mad and she runs up and she starts banging on the door until her hands turn bloody. Then she shifts back into like smarty pants mode and starts talking a bunch of numbers again, and she starts saying these equations out loud. Kelly, can you explain what's going on here? Did you know?
No, what she was
Okay.
saying?
Or
No.
what she was referring to. I
Mm-mm.
think I figured it out later on in the
Okay.
episode, but in this moment, I didn't know what she was talking about. But I didn't know if smart people would. But
Oh, no.
okay, so yeah, she's talking equations and all this, and with all this, she seems to figure out how to open the door. Like she just figures out how to do it, and as she does, the Afro lady comes back in and tells her that she isn't in prison. She says it again, and she says, "Name yourself, and where do you want to be?" And Hippolyta just looks confused and she starts kind of laughing. But the woman says it again. She's like, "Name yourself and where do you want to be?" And she keeps saying it. And so Hippolyta yells, "I want to be singing on a stage in Paris with Josephine Baker." And just then, she's kind of sucked back into that space hole and ends up right on the stage with a bunch of dancers and Josephine Baker, and they are in Paris. Did you know, like, was Josephine Baker known for doing those kind of like burlesque shows?
Yep, that was her
Oh,
thing.
I guess I haven't really learned much about her, but that intrigued me. So apparently, Leah, I don't know if you knew this, but Josephine Baker seemed to be not only a singer, but like she did burlesque shows.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain amount of freedom that both she and these other women seem to be experiencing that they would not have experienced in America, if you catch my drift.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a freedom there almost. So Hippolyta is in one of the dancers' costumes, but she keeps messing up because she obviously doesn't know the dance numbers or anything. And a bunch of the dancers keep like chastising her and putting her in her place. And they all end up like taking off their tops to show their boobs at the end, except Hippolyta. So she like messes up the whole performance. She's like, because she just got dropped on the stage. She didn't know anything. So Hippolyta seems to end up staying. They end up liking her. Josephine Baker takes notice of her and kind of takes her under her wing. So she stays. She's doing drugs. She's partying. She gets good at the group number. She's kind of one of the dancers now. We can't tell how long she's been there, but she's been there a while. And she talks about how much freedom she has now that she never felt free in America. She said she feels it was, quote, "a smart way to lynch her without noticing the noose," referring to how it was to be a black woman in America. She confesses to Josephine Baker that sometimes she wants to kill white folks, and she hates how they make her feel small. And in this moment, she begins screaming, "I am Hippolyta." And in this moment, she gets kind of swooshed back into time and space. And now she's in the middle of this kind of small, kind of looks like an arena that was designed to teach someone how to fight. Kind of like what we saw in Game of Thrones. Did you watch Game of Thrones, Leah?
No, ma'am.
Did you, Allison?
Yeah, Allison watched it.
Okay.
But
It
she's
reminded me
like in
like when
this,
they would
Yeah, I
teach.
did.
like a
Okay,
little
like
gladiator arena, but like a training
yeah,
area.
but like a smaller one, kind of.
Yeah, I
And
think I tried to watch like one episode and immediately saw like a severed head on a stake, and I was like, this is not for me. So,
there's a lot of those,
that.
but it didn't
Yeah.
bother me in that show for some reason. So I don't know. I accepted everything. All right. So it appears she's probably in Africa. She's in an area where everyone is black. Like there's a circle of women around, and it's all women. So there's a circle of women around her. She's fighting or learning how to fight. We find out from this other female warrior whose name is Nawi, and there's also a queen, a beautiful black queen, sitting in the background, kind of watching over all of this. So it really is all women, and she does appear to be learning how to fight, and she's fighting her teacher to learn.
It's
So
like
she,
The Woman King. I don't know if you guys ever saw
Yeah,
that
that's what
movie.
I was gonna
oh
say.
That's what it reminds me
no,
of. That's a good
what's that
one.
from?
Isn't it Viola Davis?
Viola Davis. I think it was
yeah.
on Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah, but it was in theaters before.
Yeah, but I'm saying if
Um,
you want to watch it now, I think
Oh,
it's on
yeah.
Netflix.
okay,
Yeah, it's really good.
okay.
But
This is
I
why you
think
don't have
when
a white
she
person doing this shit. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. But I think this is a nod too, because when she yells out, "I am Hippolyta," and gets sucked back in. Remember, I told you Hippolyta was the head of the Amazon
Yeah.
women, so I think that was obviously they didn't put her in the Amazon; she's in Africa. But I think that was maybe a nod to that, like her saying her name is the name of a queen. So
Oh,
I thought that's how I picked up on it. It's the name of a
okay.
warrior queen, so
Gotcha.
maybe that's what got her there. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
That makes sense then. So by yelling her own name, it
Hmm.
brought her to this, like the origin of her name almost.
Right, kind of. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. So she's fighting and fighting and fighting Naui, who is her teacher, until she finally wins. It's like this whole time she kept getting beat down and losing, and in the end she ends up winning. And when she does, she goes and bows to the queen or the king that was sitting behind her and watching, and then this queen gives her a warrior helmet, and she puts this helmet on her head, and then we see her with this crowd of African warrior women charging a group of British colonialists, and they whoop their asses. Like it's just this group of these black warrior women fighting these men with muskets or whatever in those kind of colonial type outfits, and they beat their asses. They really do. It's a really cool moment, and it's a really cool scene too. And then she gives this really impassioned speech after that, as we see thousands more of these soldiers kind of waiting in the wings. And there's only a very few of these women. At this point, there's probably like 10 of them or something. And there's thousands of these soldiers. And they start charging at them. And she says, "I am Hippolyta, George's wife." And when she says that, she's pulled back into the cosmos. And just as the soldiers are about to reach her back that's to them, she wakes up back in that bed that we saw her in the beginning. And she's now with George again. And it's very reminiscent of that kind of first scene we see of the two of them. And she starts frantically telling him the story of the White Room and the soldiers, almost like she had had a dream. So everything we've been seeing, she's now telling George about as if it were a dream that she was having. And she said she is certain that the equations of the many worlds theories have to be right. So I think that's what she was doing before then, right, Kelly?
So she was doing the equations when she was saying all
Yeah.
those. Oh, okay. That makes sense then.
She was figuring like and that's like a really difficult physics theory, right? The many worlds
Mhm.
theories. So she's figured it out, like that there's a multiverse basically. I think the many worlds theories is that we live in a multiverse,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I think, she's frantically telling George that she's figured this all out in this dream, and he asks her after she's finished telling the story why she still named herself his wife after she had had all these adventures, living with Josephine Baker, becoming a warrior and all of this. And she realizes that the thing that's bothered her so much is that she was actually so angry for shrinking herself to fit into the world. She said she was already small when she met George, and she thought he saw her, but he let her actually shrink herself even more. She said that she tried to tell him this when they were married and they were together, but he didn't listen to her. He finally agrees and apologizes for letting her shrink herself for her family and so that he could have his adventures instead of her. And I think this is a common thing amongst marriages and wives. Do you guys
Mhm.
agree,
Yeah.
Mhm.
kind of?
And just
Yeah.
like women in general,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
I've
feel
heard
like.
yeah, and I've heard many married women say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you guys remember? You might not remember this. You might be a little too young, but there was a movie in the 80s called The Incredible Shrinking Woman.
I
I
remember the name of it,
remember
but I
it.
I've
never
heard of
saw it.
it.
Yeah.
Ugh. See, I was just old. I'm old enough to have watched it over and over and over and over again when it came on HBO in like, the 80s.
Mm.
And I didn't understand. Like back then, I just saw it as this sci-fi film of this mom who got tiny. But now I see it as exactly what Hippolyta is talking about, that women had
Mhm.
to shrink themselves and
Mm.
be small so that they could
Okay.
fit the role that they were expected to be. So it was really this
Mm.
feminist film, but I never realized it back then. So it's actually a
Mhm.
great movie. I highly recommend it.
I think it's
Lily
that, and I
Tomlin.
think it's also that women tend to just be more of like a caretaker, and in order
Mhm.
to be that way, you kind of have to put yourself on the back burner a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To like
Yeah,
care for other people. I don't know.
absolutely. No, I
But
agree. All right, so back to our little story. So she's talking about, that she's kind of upset that she let herself shrink even more and that he could have his adventures. And he turns to her and he says, I see you now, Hippolyta Freeman. Be as big as you need to be. And she
Aw.
turns and she says, I am the discoverer. And in this moment, she's whooshed into a spacecraft. And now she's with George and they're traveling space together. They're going to like all these adventures together in space. And they end up on this planet together and they meet Martians of all different types. And she's his equal in whatever this realm of the multiverse is. And this beautiful montage is playing. And we hear the voice of Sun Ra, and I'm going to quote this so I don't say it wrong. And it says, I'm not real. I'm just like you. You don't exist in this society. If you did, your people wouldn't be seeking equal rights. You're not real. If you were, you'd have some status among the nations of the world. So we are both myths. I do not come to you as a reality. I come to you as the myth, because what is black people are myths. I came from a dream that the black man dreamed long ago. I'm actually a present sent to you by your ancestors. And it's from Space is the Place by Sun Ra.
Hmm.
She then has the option to stay in space with this beautiful, godlike creature and, continue her adventures, or she can go back to Earth and back to the body that she's currently in, the story that we've been following. And she says that Hippolyta is still small, but the Hippolyta that she's going to go back to is still small, but Dee needs her. And in that moment, we are brought back to the planetarium. Tick yells for Hippolyta, but she's gone in that moment. And he gathers and takes all her stuff, including the key, and he runs out. But Dee's little comic she hid in her mother's lunch is under the bloody body of a cop. So there is evidence left behind, unfortunately. Like Tick thinks he grabbed everything, but there is that comic left. So now that's the end. So
Oh,
I'm sorry, because I'm gonna
yeah,
ask
okay.
Kelly. So is this the same comic then that she finds I think that's why I thought the rubble was from that, but she's not there. So is
That's
she
why
there in a different realm?
I think George had the comic with him in Artem, that Rebel
Hmm.
Falls. She finds
Okay,
that comic at that building and then starts on her adventure. So I think it's the same comic. I don't think Dee
gotcha.
made 2 copies. I think each parent
Okay,
because I think when George set out on his venture, on the guidebook thing with Tick and Letty, I think she gave her dad
that was the
that.
one.
I think
So he
so,
left
yeah.
it behind, and now she's left it behind.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
I gotcha. All right, now that makes sense. Okay, sorry. And so that's the end. There's that remnant, that comic has been left behind accidentally right
Yes.
under the bloody cop's body. So,
Mm.
Mhm.
mm.
Yep, so they do have evidence, and we will see that next episode.
So that was did that make sense, Leah? I know because it really jumps.
That one was all over the place,
Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah. You
It's
have
a
to
I
different
know.
episode, yeah.
I
It
loved
sounded
it.
cool though.
Me
Like
too.
it sounded, I don't know. I like the idea of her visiting the different like worlds and different lives, and I really liked in the end when he told her to be as big as she needed to be. That was really
Mhm.
Yeah.
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
And
like
it's
that one.
lovely to think that you could have all of these different experiences where you get to be
Mhm.
you get to be as
Mhm.
big as you want to be in a different version of your life. And I love that idea. So,
I do too.
Imagine how
Mhm.
differently you would live if you had like if that
If
I
you
don't know, if
knew?
like you went, if you knew like that
Yeah.
that was true and
Mm.
that you could go to maybe like visit a different world, a different dimension, a different lifetime. Like, I don't know. I would just wonder how that would affect your
I
How you
feel
did
like
daily
this
life.
one?
I
Yeah.
feel like people overall would be happier knowing that there was always a better place to go without it being like the end of your life. You know, right now when people talk about
Right.
that, it's like, oh, there's a better place. It's heaven. It's like, well, without it being the final, final
Yeah.
everything. What if
Yeah,
there was
totally.
just, you could just like in the blink of an eye, just switch to another dimension or another timeline or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's something because I love anything multiverse. Of course, I love all my Marvel movies. But that's something I think about when I'm having like just I'm down or having a really bad day. I'm like, you know what? There is a Kelly in another timeline who's having the best
I love
day,
that.
who's having
Yeah.
her
Aw.
best life. So just
Aw.
if I have to take this hit for her and she's but it's just
Right.
because I think about that all the time. It's like, what if you could just travel and be in different ones like that? What was that book we read and then we watched that TV show, Kristen, where he opens the doors and he
Yeah.
keeps
Blake
picking different
Crouch.
timelines trying to
Yeah.
find his wife.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
it's
That
really
was so
good.
good.
Well,
Yeah.
they say that's what happened before 2012, that some people were
Yep.
able to go back and forth, and then at 2012 it closed, and we're stuck
Mhm.
where we are.
In this hell
Mhm.
planet? Yeah,
Yeah. I
probably.
think I got stuck in the bad one, but Leah used to
Yeah.
go back and forth all the time.
Well,
I'm still
that was so
convinced.
strange. There were so many times when I was 100% positive that Kelly and I had a conversation or like she
Yeah.
told me something and it wasn't even like, "Hey, did you say this?" It was like, "Hey, Kelly, so whenever you told me X, Y, and Z," and she'd be like, "I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
and then
about."
she'd just like
Yeah.
ask a
Love it.
furthering
Right.
question.
So we just started talking.
Yeah.
She would say, "Well, that was the other Kelly."
Yeah, because she all of a sudden one day you asked me about you said, what about have you heard of this anime? You're asking me something
Mhm.
about anime. I was like, I know nothing about anime. You're like, yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Like
and
we
I
had
was
had a
like,
full on conversation about anime. I
yeah.
was
Oh,
like,
that's
Leah,
fun. Other Kelly
I
likes
haven't.
anime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I love that. First of all, I was like, and I love that in another timeline you and I are still friends. But
Aw. Me too.
I know nothing about anime. Like I
Yeah.
didn't. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. She's like,
I
no, you
mean,
know.
I guess we could chalk it up to just like my brain getting old, but also like I was
No.
100% sure. Like it
I like
wasn't a
Kelly's theory.
dream. My dreams very rarely make any sense, and I also rarely retain like any details from my dreams. So if it had been a dream, I feel like I would have just been like, "Oh, I dreamed that Kelly told me she liked
It
this."
wasn't.
It
I
wasn't.
just
She
was
was
for sure we
positive.
had a conversation. Like I think I even maybe checked my text messages to see if I could find like proof of the conversation we had,
Mhm.
but it was so weird. But so
Leah, did
yeah,
you
now
see
we just
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
yeah, no, I have not, no, but I know you've recommended it to me
I
and I
don't know if
really
you
should watch it.
would have like if you would like it's long, but that
Yeah.
movie is so phenomenal. And I love in the film the idea is that we have this mother and this they're both looking for some universe where their parent accepts who they are, just as they are. And I think
Aw.
they end up finding it in the end. But there's a oh my god, the what is his name?
The ra-
The raccoon? Ratatouille or oh my
Oh, I
gosh.
don't know.
Remember the raccoon that was running the guy through under his hat
Oh yeah.
after the Ratatouille thing? Oh my, there's just so many funny little things in that movie, Leah. I think
And
you'd like
it
it.
has Jamie Lee Curtis in it too, right? I like
Mhm.
Oh
her.
yeah, the hot
Yeah.
dog fingers
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So many funny things.
I've seen so many references to it. I feel like I definitely should watch it, but
It's quirky enough that I think you would like it. Actually, it's just
yeah.
it is
It's
long.
long, and I haven't
Mhm.
finished it because of that. But I did start
Oh.
it. It was just too. I can't. I'm not good in past like an hour and a half anymore.
Kelly and I saw it on opening night at the theater.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I was obsessed with it for a little while. Riley and I saw it twice as well.
Oh, wow.
And I just think it's such a beautiful film. Like I think it's perfect. Like I don't think they could change one thing about it to make it better.
Mhm.
I need
So
to
it's one of
finish.
those movies. Mhm.
Yeah, it's a good one.
If you like the multiverse thing and you're
Mhm.
listening, I recommend
Mhm.
that one.
And if you need a shorter multiverse movie, the last Doctor Strange movie with the Scarlet Witch was an excellent multiverse movie. I thought that was fun. What was that? It was Doctor Strange and the book.
Multiver?
Oh, maybe it was just the multiverse. I think it might have just
Something
been in
or
the
other,
title.
something like that. Whoever's listening knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's it's the one with my girl, the Scarlet Witch, who's my favorite. So
Which you know what? I did watch the series with her. What was it called?
WandaVision.
Yes, I did watch
That was
WandaVision and I
good,
actually
yeah.
really did like it. And I think she's a really cool character.
Yeah, I love
And I
her.
liked how each one was like a different era.
Era of TV. Yeah,
that
I
was
love
so
that.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
That was really neat.
You lost me with them.
I know. As soon as we went into superheroes and Marvel, she's like,
Yeah,
I'm
you do your
done."
thing though.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, thank
does
you.
anyone
That
have
was
any
fun.
other
Thank you.
questions on this one?
No.
Yeah, Leah,
I'm
you
not.
feel Cool.
No, I feel like I got a pretty good grasp on that one. When are we going to see more monsters?
Well, we are next.
Oh.
All right.
Are
Yes,
you gonna watch
because
this, Leah?
this is going to change up in a second.
I mean, I don't know. Should I? You think I should?
I think you should. I think you could.
Okay. But there's
There's,
one
like-
episode that Allison's got me scared about that I don't.
It's coming up
It's
next.
coming up
Okay.
next.
Oh, God.
I
Okay.
did watch
Listen,
Sinners too, by
I
the way.
just watched it for the
You
fourth
guys.
time, and I'm okay now. So
I'll just watch it with the lights on.
What'd you say, Kristen? I'm
I
sorry.
watched Sinners finally. I meant to tell you guys.
Oh, you did. Did you
Yes.
like it?
I loved it. I loved
Oh,
it.
good. I was worried it had been hyped up too much by the time you saw it.
I
Nope,
know.
I absolutely loved it. I was
Good.
not into the river dancing as much as you, but I absolutely loved the rest of it.
It was
so.
just a few, like people who are upset about the river. It's just a few moments
it's a really short part.
of river dancing, and
Rachel
I
explained
love
it to
watching
me
river dancing.
where it made sense, though. She said in that world, all of those Black people did feel fully free. Like it wasn't, and so that actually ended up making more sense to me then in that moment. But it was just so silly. It was like such a
That part
silly little
was a
one-off
bit
that I
silly.
didn't get
It
it in the
was.
moment.
Oh, that's my
was-
favorite
there-
part.
A quick,
There were
it was like
some
a quick musical right there. They just had a quick musical number.
That's the problem. You know me in the musicals.
yeah, I
so.
know.
There's also another scene. I don't know if anybody remembers it, but it's like a cut scene where it goes from one part to another, and
That's
there's like
incredible. Which you
well,
see all the variations of music and how it
ooh,
evolves.
the music is amazing.
That was
It's
so
amazing.
Oh, you're talking
cool.
about when they're dancing with all the ancestors and all that stuff? Is
yeah,
that what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about, Leah? Or-
No, there's one
Oh.
other part where it
what I was
goes,
talking about.
I think from like a scene with Remick to something else. I can't remember, but it's like got a really quick like, you just hear like dun dun dun, and like the camera pans up to like the moon and like a wolf howling maybe or something, and
Oh, I
it's
don't
so
remember that.
silly and cheesy. It reminds me of like an old music video or something.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's meant to be silly, but I'm just kind of like, that feels out of place. But there were some silly parts, but I liked it that it had like that little bit of comic relief.
It wasn't too
Mhm.
serious. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I thought it was so fun, and I'm really glad that you liked it too.
Yeah, I did. I loved it.
How about
That's
that
good.
that end scene? I won't give any
Oh.
spoilers, but at the very end,
Oh, yeah. Well, we reviewed the
I
movie,
love
so.
the yeah.
well,
I
that's
love
true.
the
That's
ending.
true.
We
No,
did
but
it.
the
But you're
part
talking about
where
when he hands
he's-
over the baby. Where
No,
I thought you
well,
meant the
before
90s
that, when
part.
he's got the gun and he's
the guns,
blowing all
yeah.
the
Mhm.
Klansmen
Clans
away.
guys, yeah.
Oh man, that
Oh,
scene
I thought you
was
were talking about the
amazing.
'90s ending where they opened it to it could be a sequel that I would
Oh,
enjoy.
yeah.
the post
In the
credits,
jazz
Yeah.
club.
mid credit scene, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
That was
was
like
that
cool.
that
one,
part.
but I
No,
teared
but
up when she had the baby and she
Oh,
was
yeah.
he was dying.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was so sweet. Yeah,
All right,
that was a
sorry.
good movie.
Anyway,
I
had to
actually
put that out there.
bought it so that I could watch it whenever I want to. So
Ooh.
We did too, but it'll be on Max in like a week.
In like a week.
I
yeah.
know it.
I'm
I
still
know
waiting for my mom to pay me back, but it's okay.
it.
I know we watched it on our little spa trip this week so that my mom could see it. So
Oh,
we
did she
had to-
like it?
We had to buy it.
She
Mhm.
she's got to watch it again, I think.
Yeah.
Why'd she have to watch it again?
Because remember, she was confused. She came out of the movie thinking, I'm just confused.
Yeah, I don't know what was confusing. but,
I
you
like the
know.
musical part, or not the musical part, the different generations of music. For some reason, she thought all those people were actually there. I was like, why would a girl twerking from
Oh,
today
it's a
be?
metaphor? Yeah.
She's like, oh, they weren't there.
Yeah,
I
that's
was like,
funny.
okay,
I
well,
love
that
that
went
scene. I
over
thought
your
that was
head,
so
I think.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could have made those figures like a little more ghostly or something, but
It was no, it was
No,
literally-
it
it was
was-
obvious to
There
everyone.
would be
but
nobody
her.
crip walking in
No.
1932.
you're right.
Or
I
turntables. She
I
should
love
have
that
figured it
movie.
out.
That was such a good movie. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad everyone has now seen it.
Yeah.
But yes, like we mentioned just before, to me, what is the scariest episode is next week. We're actually going to record it here in a few minutes, so Leah will hear it.
Ooh.
But stay tuned, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
For more information about us and all of the wines that we feature, visit our website at fearandwine.com. And make sure you follow Fear and Wine wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss a new episode. And if you like us, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Thanks.